Hi, this is Anna from Wickedly Woolly, and today we are going to look at how to make a thumb on a mitten. Of course, there are different ways to make thumbs. This is just one way, and it's my preferred way because, as you're going to see, this thumb rim making actually creates a hole in the mitten so that you can try it on while you're working. But like I said, there are other ways of doing it, and you do the one that you prefer mostly. But in order to show you this, I have here one of my patterns, the Stag and Doe mittens. And I have my left hand mitten. I've just reached a point on the other one, the right hand, where I need to insert a thumb. So that's what I'm going to do. So this pattern calls for 11 stitches for the thumb. So what we're going to start with is thread some contrasting yarn onto a tapestry needle, and contrasting is just so that we can see where we are when we get to that point. Now you want to knit up to where the thumb is going to be. In this case it's just 2 stitches in, so that's easy. And now you want to thread the next 11 stitches that are going to be the thumb hole onto this yarn. So I'm going to go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And you pull it through. And I like to make just a little knot on this yarn so that it's not accidentally pulled out while you're working, like that. And you can poke that in on the back if you feel like this is in the way. So the next thing to do is that we're going to cast 11 stitches on to the right hand needle. The 11 stitches we just sort of removed, we're going to cast them back on the right hand needle. And I cast on according to what the pattern looks like. Basically, I follow the pattern for that too. I have heard people say that you can just cast on like a blue, a white, a blue, a white, a blue, a white, and it doesn't show. I've never tried this, but sure, try it. Either way, don't worry if you get floats, longer floats in the back, because you can just secure those floats when you weave in the ends for the thumb at the end of the work. So we want to cast on 11 stitches, and how you do that is you get the yarn, the color you want to do, you make a little O like this, just over like that, and then you come in from the back, and as you can see now that the yarn is sort of held in place there, and I want to do that twice, so a little O, and I come in through the back, and I have a white, make my little O, and I come in through the back. Move this back a bit. Make a little O, back, blue. So you want to do this for the 11 stitches over the thumb. And they work as if you had actually knitted these stitches. Just make sure you don't pull them too tight, because these stitches are going to cover this space, so you don't want it to make it too tight. It's going to be really hard to knit it on the next round. And that's number 11. So when you get to this point, when you've casted on your 11 stitches, better check. Yeah, 11. It's actually time to just go back and knit. So you pick up your yarns again and you knit. You continue knitting your pattern. And that's the first part of it. So what happens next is when you've gone the round around, so to speak, and you come back to the next row, you're just going to knit over these stitches as if they were regular stitches. And the cool thing here is that this creates, like I said, a hole so that you can try the mitten on like this while you're working on it. Not all thumbs will allow you to do that, but I like that. So this is the thumb hole, and the actual thumb, you don't do that until the very end of the work. When the whole mitten is done, we come back and we're going to make the actual thumb. So I'm going to pass that on to future Anna so she can show you how that works. So we'll see you soon. So hi and welcome back to the future, where I have magically finished this mitten in a second, and I'm now back to show you the rest of the thumb making. So just to show you first what I talked about earlier, this hole and why it's so handy is because you can do this throughout your work with a mitten. You can test it, see that it fits, everything is working out nicely, which I love. And now that we have the finished mitten, we're going to do this last part. So what we're going to do first is that we are going to pick up some stitches around the rim of this thumb hole that we have here. We're going to pick up 11 stitches on the top in the ones we cast on earlier, and 2 stitches, one on each side of this, sorry, here's my cat, one on each side of this hole, so that we don't get any big gaps there. And what I do, what I do first is I get my circular needle, the same one I had when I knitted the mitten earlier, and I'm going to start by sliding the stitches on the yarn back on to a needle. So we're going to start by doing that first, and this is where the contrasting color of this yarn is very handy, because it allows you to see exactly where the stitches are, which can be a little bit hard sometimes because it gets stretched pretty tight sometimes, and then it can be like here, it can be quite hard to see where the stitches go, but this orangey color here helps us to see. So there. And now I'm just going to leave the circular needle hanging there for a while we pick up some yarn, pick up some stitches. Now you can do this with a knitting needle. I've never tried. I always use a crochet needle, like a fine crochet needle like this, to pick up the stitches around the edge, because it's so much easier, and then I transfer it over to the needle afterwards. So I'm going to start here where I kind of left off with these 11 stitches, and I'm going to go into the side first and do that, pick up 1 stitch there, like that. So that one is for the side, and then I'm going to pick up 11 stitches along the edge, and just want to make sure you get them at a, good distance from each other. Is not an exact science, just as even as you can get them. I sometimes go back and make some changes if I feel like there's been a little bit too gap, or I can't fit all the stitches in or something like that, so don't worry if it doesn't get exactly right the first time. Let's see here, it's a little bit fiddly, and we have 11 like that. What did I do? 11 like that, I think is correct. And then we do 1 more here on the side of the mitten as well, and I should now have 13 stitches. I do not. I need 1 more. There we go. That should be 13, right? Yes. All right. We pick up our circular needle again and simply slide them on. And the first stitch here is because there's 13 now stitches on this crochet needle and just 11 on the low. I'm just going to slide that through so that stitch becomes one of the 12 on the bottom needle, and the other ones here are going to go on the top. And when you do it like I'm doing it here, these stitches actually come out twisted a little bit, so you're going to have to knit into the back for the first round just to get them straight again, but it's not a big problem. All right, so we now have 12 stitches on the top needle, or this one, and the 12 stitches on the other one. And I'm now going to go ahead and cut off this yarn here. Just pull that out like so. 12 stitches bottom, 12 stitches top. And from here on, we just knit. So you do the same thing as you've done with the previous work on the main mitten. You knit. And make sure here in the corners, I was going to say, but when you go from one needle to the other, that you pull it tight a bit, because it's easier to get holes there. And we don't want holes in our thumbs because it'll be cold come winter. But yeah, you just knit around, and that's the stitch is a little bit big because that's where I started pulling up, so need to be sure to tighten that as we go along. We knit, as you can see now, I'm just knitting into the back loop, and it's just because they came up twisted from the crochet needle. But that's just for this first round. All right, and that's pretty much it. Just keep on knitting from here on, and you just follow the chart you have and finish the thumb up. And that's easy peasy, just like that. And at the end, it looks like this. So it looks seamless from either way you look at it. So yeah, that's how you make a simple thumb on a mitten. And now I just want to say thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below, or contact me on Instagram or Ravelry, where I'm also known as Wickedly Woolly. Bye.